Good morning, everybody. The reading today is a bit longish, and it is really full of so many possible topics to talk about, so full of insight, so rich, so full of meaning. But I'll start with just one for now, and it's about a campfire. One of the memorable things that we who climb mountains and go campings, we Salesians go camping all the time. I've been to hundreds of them. When I was younger, I've climbed more than 13 Philippine mountains. And the most memorable every time, back in the day when there were no rules about no bonfires, we had a campfire the last night up on the summit. And I remember very well the campfire we had in Mount Canlaon. Canlaon is a very beautiful mountain, so if you have not been there, before you turn 60, make sure you climb Canlaon. There is a beautiful forest there that they call Hardin Sangbalo. It's an elfin forest. And what you see are miniature trees, all warped because of the direction of the wind. And there is the world's best carpeting in that garden, the Garden of the Widow. It is natural moss that's about 3 inches thick. And if you lie down on that moss, you feel you have the world's best mattress ever. I've been there twice. The first time was successful. The second time, we were caught by a signal number 3 typhoon. So we were miserable for 2 nights. I'm talking about a bonfire because Peter had an experience of 2 fires. The first was on John 18. And that fire was a bonfire of vanity. A bonfire of lies, a bonfire of denial. 30 years ago, there was a beautiful movie by the title Bonfire of Vanities. It's a story about ambition. It's a story of greed. It's a story of, trumping lies so that you can move ahead and be a popular journalist and be known all over the world and be adored by your peers. But you have to do away with the truth in order to get ahead. Peter did away with the truth, and in that bonfire of lies, in that bonfire of vanity, the first time around, the woman told him, "You are one of them." And Peter said, "No, I don't know him. I don't know him from Adam. I have nothing to do with him whatsoever." 3 times he denied the Lord. And this morning we have another bonfire. It's not a bonfire of vanity, it's a bonfire of truth. It's the bonfire of honor. It's the bonfire of what? Recovering for lost ground. It's a bonfire of conversion. And the Lord asked him, "Peter, do you love me more than these?" And Peter said, "Yes, Lord, I do. You know that." And the second time, "Peter, do you love me more than these?" And Peter said, "Oh yes, Lord, I do." And then the Lord asked him a third time, but there were 2 types of words he used. The first 2 times was connected with the word love. That is the highest form of love that is called agape. But then Peter didn't understand it. And so the Lord condescended and bent over backwards and leveled up with Peter, who couldn't understand, and used a less lofty word connected with philia, philanthropy, which is a lower form of love. So Peter, the third time, "Do you love me?" And Simon Peter understood. And that was the time he understood that the Lord meant business. So today, my counsel for everyone, for me first and foremost, is remember the bonfire. But in the several reunions that I had with my mountaineering group in Mandaluyong that we began in 1986 or 87, we always told stories about the memorable campfires up on the summit. And every time we would invite each other for the reunion, somebody would say, remember the campfire? Remember to bring something. Bring something. Oy, yung ambag mo. Because having gone to campings all my life, you know, there are boys who carry the refrigerator and the kitchen sink. Their mothers give them everything like they're going to be away for a week. And it's only 3 days. So they have all sorts of candies, canned goods, food, everything. We ended up carrying them because they couldn't carry them. There are too many. But there are boys who had nothing. You know that very well. Whenever you go camping, there are those who have the whole kitchen, including the kitchen sink, and those who have nothing. So the benefactors, those parents and mothers who would send them a whole truckload of goodies, was feeding all the rest who couldn't bring anything. And that was okay. Remember the bonfire, but bring something. And I'd like you to remember the fire. And this time, it's not the fire that began at night. It was night when that bonfire was burning. When Peter said, I don't know him. But this morning, it was the Lord who built the campfire by the shore. And it was early dawn. It is the dawn of a new beginning. It is the bonfire of hope. So my first message for those of us who seem to be discouraged and hopeless, remember the bonfire. And I'm not talking about the bonfire at night with that lady in waiting who found out the lies that Peter was saying. I'm talking about the bonfire that the Lord built himself by the shore. And what did the Lord do? He did that at miracle, but then after the miracle, after telling them and knowing that they have been at work all night and catching nothing, he told Peter and the disciples, put the net on the other side of the boat. And then they had a prize catch of fish they couldn't count. It was more than they needed. But the Lord told him, remember the bonfire, sort of, but bring something. Bring some of the fish you have caught. In other words, when you're at the end of your rope and you think the Lord tinikis kayo ng tadhana and you are holding on for dear life because you have lost your job, you have lost all your savings, you had relatives who perished in the pandemic, you have no more insurance because you couldn't afford the annual payments for the insurance, and you are worried sick about everything, remember the bonfire. And today, this bonfire that I'm talking about is the bonfire by the shore. When you think you are safe by the shoreline and you don't want to do anything more, remember Peter who took the plunge. If Peter had not taken the plunge, I don't know where we will be. There is no use for us to be sitting here and kneeling down later and standing up and praying the Our Father. If Peter had not taken the plunge, after recognizing the Lord, it is the Lord, and he recognized him by the fire. Reminiscent of the fire, at which side he said, I don't know the man. Hope is what this is all about. The bonfire of vanities is happening right now, even here, even now. I cannot understand why some people swear before the Bible and say and profess and witness to the depravity of certain individuals, and then just before the end of one administration, they wake up and say, I recant. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying that that lady is innocent nor guilty. But I am aghast at people who can destroy others without batting an eyelash, and then 4 years after saying it was a lie. What kind of conversion is this? What kind of a country and people are we when we can send somebody and condemn them for having hundreds of dollar accounts when there was only one? And they counted all, that because of the anti-money laundering law, if you have a bank account, you have any bank account now, you will have to renew it every year and make signatures, endless signatures in about 15 pages every time. And they were counting those number of accounts that had to do with the same account. I'm not saying he is innocent. I am telling you the facts that we seem to be so flippant and so irresponsible, saying that lady is guilty, and then 4 years after, I recant. Which is the truth? Is it money? Is it politics? Is it what? I don't know. But Peter this time is not in the same footing as this Espinosa, Kerwin Espinosa or anything. Not on the same footing, because Peter cried bitter tears. Peter remembered the bonfire and cried bitter tears. That original bonfire of vanity became a bonfire of conversion, a bonfire of renewed life, a bonfire that led him to take the plunge at the right moment when he recognized Jesus, the risen Lord, and told everybody and jumped right into the water, dressed or not dressed, it is the Lord. Today, we have so many things in our hearts, in our minds, on our shoulders. We could be, running with stooped shoulders, bent shoulders, discouraged by the seashore, not knowing what to do, whether to take the boat and go away someplace and migrate because you don't want to live anymore in this God-forsaken country. But then you realize that life is not all about being here forever. It is not about the here and the now. It's about the here and the now and the hereafter. And take note, the hereafter is not a bonfire of vanities. It is a promise that He has proven, and He has proven it beyond doubt by rising from the dead. So, my dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters, remember the bonfire, but please bring something. If you attend this Mass is worthless unless you bring your sinful selves, but repentant selves. Unless you bring your sacrifice, your worries, unless you bring your brightest hopes in this hopeless country in many senses, unless you bring your firm resolve to bring a little portion of yourself in order to offer together with the Lord's unbloody sacrifice on the cross. Remember the bonfire, but bring something.